Welcome to Load Testing Basics. The central question is not whether the code works once, but what happens when pressure changes timing, ordering, and recovery behavior.
So a passing functional test can still hide a real failure?
Exactly. Under load, queues grow, latency shifts, and the invariant that looked stable may start failing intermittently. We need evidence, not just a successful run. Now treat load as design pressure, not as a benchmark number. Throughput, latency, ramp-up, steady state, and operational pressure are all ways to surface hidden assumptions.
What assumption is usually hidden?
Often it is that the system only has to behave correctly in the happy path. Load testing asks which condition must remain true when concurrency, retries, or timing shifts. Throughput and latency have to be read together. If request rate rises, timing changes. If work slows down, the effective rate drops.
Why not just watch TPS or RPS by itself?
Because average rate can look fine while the tail is already failing the invariant. P95 and P99 show the slow requests that operators and users actually feel. Ramp-up tells us where degradation begins, and steady state tells us whether the system can stay healthy over time.
So one test finds the breaking point, and the other finds drift or exhaustion.
Right. A short burst can miss memory leaks, queue buildup, or recovery problems. Gradual increase and sustained load answer different questions. A claim about behavior needs a chain of evidence: claim, load profile, structured logs, repeatable output, then a decision.
What makes the evidence strong enough to trust?
A reviewer should be able to reconstruct what load was applied, what the system recorded, what repeated, and what changed after the response. This is where hidden assumptions become dangerous. The happy path, a single actor, and current state all make correctness look stable because nothing is competing with anything else.
Is the real issue that the design was never forced to handle overlap?
Yes, the assumption disappears when requests overlap, state goes stale, or the same operation is repeated. That is the pressure your test has to challenge. Now make the failure concrete. Concurrent requests arrive, the queue grows, timeouts appear, and then duplicate work or stale state shows up.
Why did it look correct before the load increased?
Because the baseline was tested in isolation, under pressure the system accepted more work than it could safely complete, which means the invariant was never actually protected. The design response starts by naming the protected property: system integrity under pressure.
Isn't adding back pressure or retries enough?
Not by itself. Each mechanism has a different role. Back pressure, idempotency, retries with back off, and recovery evidence all protect the invariant in different ways, and each one introduces a trade-off. Think of the system as moving through healthy, saturated, degraded, recovering, and stable states.
What invariant are we protecting across those state changes?
Accepted work should either complete or fail in a bounded, explainable way. The system should not drift into uncontrolled degradation. This interleaving is where concurrent systems get into trouble. One thread pushes a burst of requests while another retries slow database writes, and the queue keeps accepting work.
So the problem is not just the slow database, but the way retries and queue growth interact.
Exactly. The result can be latency spikes, duplicate work, missing completion logs, or unbounded queue growth. Your evidence has to capture the interleaving itself, not only the final symptom. Now compare the design responses. A simple baseline is easy to explain, but it hides timing and pressure assumptions. Guarded transitions protect the invariant directly, but need careful state modeling.
When would you choose idempotency over explicit coordination?
When the main risk is duplicate work or partial failure. Coordination makes ordering visible, but it can bottleneck or deadlock. Idempotency handles retries better at the cost of keys and deduplication logic. The verification loop is what makes the argument defensible. Run a sequential scenario, then run a pressure scenario, and compare before and after evidence using the same workload.
What evidence would prove the fix actually helped?
A repeatable before-after run with logs and metrics that show the failure, the correction, and the residual risk. Then record that reasoning in the integrity packet. Before you finish, follow the checklist in order. Identify the invariant, write a sequential scenario, write a pressure scenario, add operation IDs and entity IDs, and capture before and after evidence.
What if my logs are still too vague to reconstruct the failure?
Then the evidence is not yet strong enough. You need structured logs in enough detail to defend the assumption, the validation, and any remaining risk. This connects directly to A4. Show the relevant workflow in your project, the failure or recovery mechanism, and the evidence that supports the design choice.
So the assignment is asking for proof under stress, not just a description of the system.
Exactly. Use runnable commands, structured logs, repeated failure reproduction, diagrams, and an integrity packet explanation to defend the trade-off.